Number one is when you make religion a faculty in the Kantian said faculty among other faculties of a modern university, then you are turning a religion into basically a human invention. That's the first thing. So when you talk about whether you mean it or not in this context in which the question is posed and in which Allama Iqbal more or less talks about religion, is religion as a discipline among other disciplines in a modern university, really? Or at most we can say what he's talking about by religion, his conception is very similar to a Protestant modernist conception of religion. It's a human invention, it's a human endeavor. And at most, Allama Iqbal's conception of religion there is similar to Hegel's conception of religion as a self-expression of, self-realization of zeitgeist. So zeitgeist. So that's the zeitgeist, or he calls it God sometime, is realizing itself or trying to express itself in different ways in this world. And one way is humanity, and that's the most advanced way. And these are the inventions of humanity: religion, science, philosophy, and higher poetry. And if humanity is the self-expression of God or zeitgeist, then and if religion, science, and philosophy and history are the self-expression of humanity, then they would be expressing similar sort of things in different ways, though methods are different. Hegel recognizes that, and Iqbal, I think, is quite Hegelian in that vein. And an answer would be similar too, because it's a self-expression of similar sort of self-expression of the same zeitgeist, but in different modes, if you want to use a more Spinozian term here. So answers would be similar, but the truth and objectivity of the answer would be delimited by the language and the method of that self-expression. Okay, so there is still a hierarchy among those answers, even if those answers are similar. So that's the first point. But we obviously reject all this. Religion for us is not a true religion like deen. That's why I want to use the word deen, a way of life, a worldview. The true worldview is not a human invention, it's a revelation. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's beyond human intervention. Obviously, its understanding is human, but it itself is. That's why it's Muhammad, it's judge on everything we do, an eternal judge. So that's the first thing which we reject in that. And the second and main point is that, in my opinion, that science, religion, philosophy, and high poetry today, as faculties and disciplines of modern university, they are anchored in a particular worldview which gave birth to these disciplines, and that particular worldview determines to a large extent their method. Obviously, there's a diversity in method according to the discipline, but it is still anchored in a particular worldview. So in that sense, their questions and their answers, both really, are the exact opposite, generally speaking, of the worldview. Are exact opposites. Their answers, questions, and method as well are exact opposite of the answers and questions and method of Islam. Because, there are three major differences, I would say. The three major differences are that, on the first hand, they are this worldly. They are focused on this world. And the conception of this world is not even delimited in any negative sense by hereafter. They are this worldly, pure and simple. On the other hand, our worldview, our deen, al-haq, is otherworldly in its positivity. That's for the first basic difference. So that's why all our disciplines are anchored in and delimited by al-ghaib, which people translate as unseen, sometimes metaphysics, but metaphysics and these unseens are all relative. You can have a conception of unseen and metaphysics in modern worldview too, but there's no conception of ghaib as such in alam al-ghaib, the world of ghaib, which is beyond this world, and unseen and metaphysics determined by this world. That's the second point. And third point is, and that will relate to the so-called method, is that there is no conception of revelation. So theirs is sans revelation, without revelation. They're focused on total human faculty. So that's why human is autonomous and self-sufficient, precisely in that sense. Because otherwise we use reason, we use senses, obviously we are human, but they use reason and senses without a prior conception of revelation and shaping those reason and senses with revelation. So that's three basic difference. That's why what I will say is not just their method, but questions and answers are exact opposite, polar opposite. So there's no reconciliation in sense. Of course, we can take a lot of things from their method, questions and answer, but only once we have deconstructed. So part of those things can be incorporated into our worldview, but only once they have been deconstructed in the sense that the facts and conceptual tool in these disciplines are totally diffused from or dissociated from the worldview in which they are anchored. So that's my basic, first attempt at answering this. But we'll continue this, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum.